Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Let me ask you something real. Have you ever noticed how certain people were completely fine when you were unsure of yourself, second-guessing everything you felt, and living far below your potential? But the moment you started healing, improving, growing, and finally seeing your own value, their attitude shifted. It wasn't random. Some people prefer you weak because a weak version of you is easier to influence. A weak version of you asks for permission. A weak version of you stays quiet to avoid conflict. A weak version of you accepts less than they deserve. But the moment your strength woke up, their comfort ended. Today we're talking about the exact moment your confidence, clarity, and courage made them realize they can't shape you anymore. When you rise, the people who benefited from your lower state suddenly feel exposed. They see a power in you they cannot control. They feel a shift they didn't expect. They realize they never understood who you were becoming. Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "People are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them." Your strength didn't threaten them because you changed. It threatened them because your view of yourself changed. You stopped chasing approval. You stopped obeying old expectations. You stopped bending just to keep the peace. You learned to protect your energy. You learned to trust your own judgment. You learned to walk away from anything that steals your peace. And that version of you, the version that stands tall and doesn't break under pressure, is the version they hoped you would never discover. This video will guide you through 8 powerful steps to help you stay strong, stay grounded, and stay in control of your emotions, your choices, and your life. This is about building a mindset they can't manipulate, creating habits they can't interrupt, and forming an identity no one can weaken again. Before we start, comment this affirmation to anchor your strength. I am done being who others prefer. I choose my power. Number 1. They feared your potential. People rarely react to who you are today. They react to the power they sense inside you, the power you haven't even fully stepped into yet. Some people tried to keep you small, not because they believed you were weak, but because they feared what would happen the moment you realized how strong you truly are. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." The obstacles they created were not meant to break you. They were meant to stop you from rising. But every challenge they placed in your path became the very fuel that pushed you toward your strength. They feared your potential because your potential exposes their insecurity. When you grow, you reveal what they refuse to fix in themselves. When you improve, you highlight their stagnation. When you choose healing, you show them the pain they still carry. Some tried to distract you. Some tried to belittle you. Some tried to make you question your worth. They weren't fighting the current version of you. They were fighting the future you. The stronger, wiser, more confident version of you they hoped would never show up. You reclaim your power by stepping fully into the person they never believed you could become. You rise by choosing discipline over excuses, peace over chaos, clarity over confusion, and purpose over fear. You stop apologizing for your strength. You stop softening your voice. You stop hiding your gifts. You stop shrinking to keep fragile people comfortable. When you honor your true potential, any control they once had over you dissolves. They can only influence the version of you that doubts itself, not the version of you that has awakened. Number 2. They depended on your doubts. One of the reasons they wanted you weak is because your doubts worked in their favor. When you didn't trust your own voice, they could speak louder. When you questioned your own judgment, they could guide your choices. When you didn't recognize your own value, They could make you believe they were doing you a favor by staying in your life. They fed off your uncertainty because an unsure person is easier to influence. But the moment you began understanding your worth, their advantage disappeared. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." When you stopped giving them access to your fears, you became the master of your life. Their influence faded the moment your confidence rose. They depended on the version of you that second-guessed everything. They preferred the version of you who apologized even when you did nothing wrong. They liked it when you were afraid to speak your truth, because that fear stopped you from seeing them clearly. Once you started developing self-respect, emotional understanding, and inner stability, they lost the ability to push your buttons. You no longer reacted to their pressure. You no longer accepted their excuses. You no longer absorbed their negativity. You started thinking for yourself. You started choosing what aligns with your growth. You started making decisions based on what strengthens you, not what satisfies them. Your doubts used to give them control, but your clarity removed their power. You learned the difference between someone who supports you and someone who benefits from your uncertainty. You learned how to stand firm, even when your heart is heavy. You learned how to keep your boundaries strong, even when someone tries to guilt-trip you into breaking them. Now, you trust your own feelings. Now you trust your own path. Now you trust your own strength. And that inner trust has become a barrier they can't cross anymore. Your doubt kept you tied to them. Your confidence set you free. That is why your growth bothers them. They can no longer shape your decisions with fear. They can no longer keep you small by making you question yourself. You have replaced confusion with certainty, and certainty destroys manipulation. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments right now. My confidence breaks their control. Number 3. Your growth removed their advantage. They wanted you weak because weak people are predictable. Weak people are easier to guilt-trip, easier to manipulate, easier to control. When you were struggling, they always knew what to expect. But the moment you started growing, healing, learning, and choosing yourself, you broke the pattern they depended on. They didn't expect you to evolve. They didn't expect you to wake up. They didn't expect you to outgrow the environment that kept you small. Growth is not just emotional or mental. Growth is a shift in your identity. When you changed, everything around you had to change too. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." When you finally understood that truth, their power over you collapsed. They couldn't use old tactics anymore because you no longer responded the same way. You stopped chasing people who mistreated you. You stopped begging for clarity from people who thrived on confusing you. You stopped explaining yourself to people who were committed to misunderstanding you. Your new strength disrupted their old comfort. Your growth created distance, and that distance exposed their true intentions. People who cared only about controlling you grew uncomfortable when you became confident. People who counted on your silence grew threatened when you started speaking from a place of strength. People who used your insecurities as leverage became nervous when you began believing in yourself. That is why your growth bothered them. They couldn't predict you anymore. They couldn't manipulate your emotions. They couldn't push you into the same cycles. You started thinking long-term. You started protecting your peace. You started creating a life based on standards, not fear. You became harder to influence, harder to discourage, and harder to break. Your growth removed their advantage because you stopped becoming the version of yourself that needed their validation. You no longer shrink to make others comfortable. You no longer dim your light to match someone else's insecurity. You have stepped into a stronger version of yourself. and that change shattered every control they once had over you. Number 4, they underestimated you, and that's where their control ended. One of the biggest reasons they lost control over you is because they never believed you would outgrow the version of you they built their power on. They assumed you would stay unsure of yourself. They assumed you would accept disrespect as normal. They assumed you would stay silent just to keep the peace. They assumed you would stay loyal to people who were never loyal to you. They underestimated your strength, your intelligence, your resilience, and your ability to rise above the very situations meant to break you. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." You stopped reacting in the ways that kept you trapped. You stopped giving emotional openings to people who only wanted control. You stopped allowing them to decide your value, and the moment you challenged the old dynamic, everything they built against you started to crumble. They underestimated you because your kindness fooled them, your patience fooled them, your forgiveness fooled them. They thought empathy was weakness, but they didn't realize empathy becomes fire when pushed too far. When you finally saw the patterns, the gaslighting, the lies, the manipulation, the disrespect, you reached a point where you could no longer ignore your own worth. That moment of awakening is what freed you. The same people who doubted you now watch you walk in confidence that terrifies them. The same people who spoke down to you now see a version of you that cannot be influenced. The same people who expected you to stay small now have to face the reality that you are no longer dependent on their approval. They underestimated you, and that was their mistake. You grew stronger, wiser, calmer, and more disciplined. And when someone misjudges your strength, they teach you exactly who they are and how far they should stand from your life. You didn't change to impress them. You evolved to protect yourself. Now your power speaks for you, and your progress is your loudest answer. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I am stronger than anyone expected. Number 5. Your healing broke the power they had over you. The moment you started healing, everything changed. Not because healing is loud, but because healing quietly removes every hook they used to control you. When you began understanding your emotions instead of reacting from pain, their influence faded. When you learned to sit with your feelings instead of exploding or collapsing, their ability to trigger you disappeared. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." The day you took back control of your inner world, they lost control of your life. Healing teaches you to separate what is yours from what was projected onto you. You stopped carrying their insults as truth. You stopped seeing yourself through their criticism. You stopped letting their behavior shape your identity. That inner shift is what freed you from the emotional patterns that used to trap you. As you healed, you grew harder to manipulate. You stopped falling for guilt trips. You stopped accepting one-sided apologies. You stopped excusing disrespect. You stopped letting people drain you with their chaos. The peace you found within yourself became a shield. The clarity you built became a filter. And the boundaries you learned to enforce became a wall they could no longer climb. Your healing made you see that you never needed their validation. You needed your own trust. You learned to trust your judgment, your intuition, your standards, and your vision for your life. That self-trust is what made you stronger than the grip they tried to maintain. The version of you before healing was easy for them to control. The version of you after healing is untouchable. That's why they feel threatened. Not because you hurt them, but because you grew away from the version of yourself that served their comfort. You didn't heal to prove anything. You healed to protect your soul. And that growth broke every invisible chain they assumed would stay locked forever. Number 6. Your strength exposed their weakness. When you finally stepped into your strength, something happened that they never expected. Their true nature became visible. Your growth didn't just elevate you, it revealed everything they had been hiding behind manipulation, pressure, or control. Seneca once said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." Every hardship you endured, every disappointment you survived, every betrayal you overcame, sharpened your inner resilience. And as you grew, their tactics that once worked suddenly fell flat. They couldn't intimidate you anymore. They couldn't guilt you anymore. They couldn't confuse you anymore. Your strength exposed how fragile their power truly was. People who rely on control get uncomfortable around someone who becomes self-aware. They panic when the person they underestimated begins to recognize their worth. They feel threatened when the one they once dominated starts standing tall. And you reaching that level of strength forced them to confront the hollow place inside themselves. They never wanted you empowered, because empowered people stop tolerating disrespect. Empowered people stop accepting crumbs. Empowered people refuse to shrink for anyone's comfort. Empowered people walk away when the energy is no longer right. And your strength made them realize that the version of you who once accepted their behavior no longer exists. Your silence, your growth, your boundaries, your discipline, all of it illuminated how dependent they were on your weakness. They needed you insecure so they could feel important. They needed you confused so they could feel superior. They needed you uncertain so they could feel in control. But once you gained clarity, their influence evaporated. Your strength didn't destroy them, it exposed them. That's why they reacted with anger, distance, blame, or victimization. They weren't losing you, they were losing control. Stand firm in that strength. Never apologize for it, never dim it, never shrink it. You earned it through pain, discipline, and evolution. And the more you grow, the smaller their power becomes. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments right now. My strength reveals the truth. Number 7. Your evolution reminded them they stayed the same. When you started leveling up, something powerful happened. You didn't just rise, you revealed how stuck they were. Your growth became a mirror, and they didn't like what they saw. While you were working on your emotional strength, they were repeating the same patterns. While you were healing, they were avoiding their truth. While you were moving forward, they were staying exactly where you left them. Epictetus said, "Progress comes from being clear with yourself." And the moment you became clear about who you are, what you deserve, and what you will no longer tolerate, the gap between you and them widened in a way that could never be reversed. People who refuse to grow often resent those who choose to evolve. Your progress made them uncomfortable because it highlighted their lack of discipline. Your new mindset made them uneasy because it forced them to confront the choices they avoided for years. Your emotional stability exposed their emotional chaos, and the stronger you became, the more obvious it became that they were unwilling to rise with you. They wanted the version of you who doubted yourself. They wanted the version of you who accepted their excuses. They wanted the version of you who tolerated things out of fear, loneliness, or attachment. But the moment you stepped into your growth, you outgrew the spaces that kept you small. Your evolution wasn't selfish, it was necessary. You stopped fighting for people who weren't fighting for themselves. You stopped trying to carry people who refused to walk. You stopped giving chances to people who kept repeating cycles. Your growth became the point of separation. That's why they look at you differently now. That's why they try to blame, criticize, or shame. it's easier for them to attack your evolution than to admit their stagnation. Every step you take forward reminds them they chose to stay the same, but that's not your burden. Your only job is to keep becoming the strongest, calmest, clearest version of yourself. Your evolution is your victory, not your apology. Number 8. Your strength exposed their true intentions. When you finally became strong, when you reclaimed your confidence, when you stopped bending yourself to please people who never matched your energy, something major became clear. Their intentions were never rooted in your healing, only in your usefulness. People who benefit from your weakness will always fear your strength. People who rely on your insecurity will always panic when you become grounded. People who expect you to stay small will always be threatened the moment you decide to rise. Marcus Aurelius said, "The opinion of others is not your concern." And when you began living from that truth, you exposed exactly who was around you for genuine connection and who was around you for control. Your strength removed the advantage they once held. They could no longer manipulate your emotions because you stopped reacting. They could no longer guilt-trip you because you stopped carrying blame that wasn't yours. They could no longer use your kindness against you because you learned to set clear boundaries. Your strength removed the loopholes they used to keep you tied to their chaos. And once they realized they could no longer pull your strings, their true character stepped forward. Strength doesn't change people, it reveals people. When you grew into your confidence, the people who cared celebrated you. The people who used you resented you. Your power exposed every hidden agenda. The ones who stayed loyal showed you their hearts. The ones who disappeared showed you their intentions. The ones who became cold showed you their fear. And the ones who tried to return only after you healed showed you their dependence, not their love. Your strength became the filter that separated the real from the fake, the loyal from the opportunistic, the genuine from the self-serving. You stopped attracting people who prey on weakness and started attracting people who respect strength. And the best part? Your strength is only getting started. Keep building it. Keep choosing it. Keep walking in it. Because the stronger you become, the clearer everything around you becomes. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments right now. My strength reveals what's real. This is the part of the journey where everything shifts. You've listened, you've learned, and now it's time to live it. The world tried to shape you into someone quiet, someone doubtful, someone unsure, but you refused to stay there. You chose strength. You chose presence. You chose self-respect. And that choice alone puts you ahead of anyone who ever wanted you weak. Remember, you don't rise by accident. You rise by intention. You rise by refusing to settle for less than you deserve. You rise by staying loyal to your growth, even when it's uncomfortable. You rise by trusting yourself more than the noise around you. You rise by standing firm in who you are becoming. Every step forward you take from this moment is a message to the world that you are no longer controlled by fear, guilt, or old stories. You're choosing a new future, and your power is leading the way. And if this message hit home, if it lit something inside you, then make sure you stay connected. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and keep showing up for yourself. Your strength is real, your voice matters, your future is waiting. Let's keep growing together.